You can now get 2 free audiobook downloads and a 30-day free trial at audible.bogosity.tv. Your choice from the world's largest selection of over 180,000 digital audiobooks and spoken word content for your iOS or Android device, Kindle, or MP3 player. Go to audible.bogosity.tv now. Welcome to the Bogosity podcast for the week of July 9th, 2017, the podcast that labels fried chicken some assembly required. This is your host, Shane Killian. Let's aerate the news of the bogus. And we start off with more ridiculous copyright bogosity. There's a real estate website called Zillow, which features a lot of homes known as McMansions. Homes that are supposed to be big and impressive, but are really kind of ridiculous. Grad student Kate Wagner of my home state of North Carolina runs a blog called McMansion Hell, where she takes pictures from Zillow and other sites and puts hilarious captions on them lampooning these houses. And they give a few examples in this article of her saying things like, "I wanted to look like Cinderella's castle, but like tacky and vaguely evil." And "Nothing I say is gonna be funnier than the house itself." As well as pointing out ridiculous things like steps that don't go anywhere and ridiculous places to put windows. Well, Zillow apparently didn't like that and sent her a legal cease and desist order citing copyright infringement. Quote, "Your actions infringe on the rights of each copyright holder of the images. When those 4 factors are applied to your use of the images on your site, none support an argument that your use is fair use." Interesting because parody is one of the factors, and this clearly is parody. They also claimed, quote, "Your activities may violate the Federal Computer Fraud and Abuse Act and state laws prohibiting fraud and interference with Zillow's business expectations and interests." Joke. Wagner said, quote, "I was terrified. It was like, you're a criminal and you're going to jail. And by the way, you can't make a living anymore. My first thought was, wow, how am I going to pay rent? It's a huge undertaking that has been a source of pride and income." Interestingly, this letter was sent the very same day an article in the Washington Post covered McMansions in which Wagner was quoted as an expert. I'm sure it's just a coincidence and not at all an attempt to silence a critic. Lawyers for the EFF representative, attorney Daniel Nazer, said, quote, "We hope that Zillow comes to appreciate that it made a mistake and withdraws its threat. It was definitely something that spoke to the community that enjoys free speech on the internet." After a brief shutdown, her website and Tumblr page are back up. Zillow dropped its dispute after Wagner agreed not to use their pictures in the future, and that's sad because she was completely in the right, but I get why she wouldn't want to risk losing part of her livelihood. But it's not exactly a win for Zillow. They're smarting from all the bad publicity, so my feeling is they won't be trying this again anytime soon. Say, if you're tired of the promos in this podcast, well, the patrons got it early and with no ads or promos. Just go to patreon.bogosity.tv and donate at any level. Do you have children or nieces or nephews? Are you homeschooling, or just want to counter some of the socialist indoctrination most children get in school? If so, go to bogosity.tv/TuttleTwins, and you'll be taken to a website where you can get some great books for elementary-age children. The Tuttle Twins books are books about liberty and free market economics that include children's versions of Bastiat's The Law, Leonard Read's I, Pencil, and Hayek's The Road to Serfdom, as well as books about the Federal Reserve and how regulations protect business cronies. They'll learn about the harm caused by eminent domain, or regulations passed in the name of safety, and fundamental concepts of liberty. And as you can see from the sample pages on the website, they're all easy to read and nicely illustrated. They're just $9.99 a piece, or get a special discount as well as free bonuses when you purchase all 5. You can even buy in bulk to donate to schools and local libraries. So get the Tuttle Twins books at bogosity.tv/TuttleTwins. Now something more chilling. Canada's Supreme Court has ordered Google to remove search results to certain websites worldwide. The case surrounds Equistex Solutions Incorporated versus Jack, where two Canadian entities have been embroiled in an IP battle. Google had no direct links to the case, but became involved when Equistex said that Google's search results were sending visitors to the defendants' websites where there were IP-infringing goods being sold. Google voluntarily removed the links from its Canadian website, but Equistex wanted them removed planet-wide. A BC court sided with them, saying that they could force Google to take down results even in places outside their jurisdiction. So Google appealed to the Canadian Supreme Court, figuring that of course they would say there's no jurisdiction. Nope. They ruled 7-2 that since Google does business in Canada, they can give the plaintiffs worldwide relief. Apparently that freedom of speech thing is just optional there. The court ruled, quote, "This is not an order to remove speech that, on its face, engages in freedom of expression values. It is an order to de-index websites that are in violation of several court orders. We have not to date accepted that freedom of expression requires the facilitation of the unlawful sale of goods." Oh, you know the music industry is salivating now. The IFPI, that's International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, said, quote, "Canada's highest court has handed down a decision that is very good news for rights holders both in Canada and around the world. Whilst this was not a music piracy case, search engines play a prominent role in directing users to illegal content online, including illegal music sites. If the digital economy is to grow to its full potential, online intermediaries, including search engines, must play their part by ensuring that their services are not used to facilitate the infringement of intellectual property rights." The CEO of Music Canada, which represents Sony, Universal, Warner, and many others, said, quote, "Today's decision confirms that online service providers cannot turn a blind eye to illegal activity that they facilitate. On the contrary, they have an affirmative duty to take steps to prevent the internet from becoming a black market." But like University of Ottawa professor Michael Geist said, quote, "What happens if a Chinese court orders Google to remove Taiwanese sites from the index? Or if an Iranian court orders it to remove gay and lesbian sites from the index? Since local content laws differ from country to country, there is a great likelihood of conflicts. This decision demonstrates what many have feared. The temptation for courts will be to assert jurisdiction over online activities and leave it to the parties to sort out potential conflicts. In doing so, the Supreme Court of Canada has lent its support to global takedowns and vested more power in internet intermediaries who may increasingly emerge as the arbiters of which laws to follow online." Personally, I wonder what would happen if Google removed Equistex results as well. Hey, fair's fair. If you're on the Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or hotel, anyone on that network can get your traffic. Do you really trust all of those strangers? For that matter, do you really trust your ISP? A VPN can protect you from prying eyes, disguise your location, and even foil government censors. It's essential in this day and age, so go to vpn.bogosity.tv and you'll be taken to BoxPN. Starting at just $2.99 a month, you can get unlimited high-speed connections to VPN servers all over the world, and they don't log connections, so your privacy is assured. Traveling abroad, just VPN home, and don't worry about what those other governments are doing. Back at home, stop your ISP from traffic shaping and messing with the quality internet access you're paying good money for. You can connect from multiple machines at once, including your smartphone or tablet, and it supports all the secure standards, including OpenVPN and SSTP. Bypass censors and surveillance with your own secure VPN connection. Go to vpn.bogosity.tv. And just in case you were wondering how it could possibly be any worse, Germany has completely given up on the whole free speech thing by threatening to fine internet companies that don't censor bad speech. If that sounds broad, well, the legislation is almost as vague, defining the banned categories as hate speech, criminal material, and fake news. German Justice Minister Heiko Maas said, quote, "Freedom of speech ends where the criminal law begins. No, Moss, that's where freedom of speech begins. The whole point of freedom of speech is that it can't be made criminal, and it's a protection against governments making speech criminal. But they're not even going after the speakers, they're going after the platforms, which means that the platforms will be in the situation of having to judge which speech is allowed and which speech isn't, and to avoid liability, they'll have to overcompensate and censor things that probably should be allowed even under this horrible law. The fine is 5 million euros per person each company designates to deal with complaints. Yeah, that's nice. The guy makes one mistake and you personally bankrupt him. Who's even going to sign up for that? This is the cult of the omnipotent state rearing its ugly head. They think they can put a holy writ onto paper and change reality with pretty much no consideration of the bad consequences it might have. We live in a world where light bulbs connect to the internet, and recent attacks on them prove that your online security is under threat like never before. Not only your websites, but the internet-enabled devices you buy. And the biggest problem is weak passwords. That's why you need LastPass. LastPass allows you to randomly generate strong, unique passwords on the web and on your internet-enabled devices, all protected by one master password. LastPass sets up in minutes and gives you secure automatic logins throughout the web, synchronizing across all your browsers, all your computers, and even your mobile devices, at home, at work, or on the road. It even securely stores sensitive form data, including credit card numbers, backup sensitive documents, software licenses, Wi-Fi logins, and more. And with LastPass Premium, you can get these benefits on other applications, manage passwords for your entire family, and also get priority customer support. Sign up at password.bogosity.tv for a free month of LastPass Premium. Log in securely everywhere using the last password you'll ever have to remember. Go to password.bogosity.tv and get LastPass now. And now it's time to pixelate this week's biggest Bogon emitter. And this week it goes to CNN for their reaction to a meme where someone put the CNN logo over Vince McMahon in a video where Donald Trump had a staged brawl with him. I guess I should link to CNN's post about it, although I don't really want to. Not because I think they're terrible, but because they have a video that autoplays. I mean, really, people, knock that off. We've only been complaining about that for 20 years. So anyway, the animated GIF was created and shared by Reddit user Han Asshole Solo. Yes, Reddit. This is a shitpost on Reddit. CNN, one of the largest news organizations in the world, is all bent out of shape because of a Reddit shitposter who has the word asshole in his name. CNN got their little panties in a twist after Donald Trump tweeted a modified version that had been converted into a video with sound. So the CNN snowflakes took to the air en masse to say how horrible this is, and it's a terrible threat, and aren't Trump supporters so violent, and things like this need to be dealt with. Of course, someone on their side politically can take a picture with a fake bloody head of Trump, and that's okay, but someone superimposing the CNN logo over Vince McMahon in a staged brawl, well... Now, in fairness, you can't really compare CNN with the WWE. I mean, one is completely fictional coverage of pretend conflicts presented only for the titillation of their audience, and the other is a show about wrestling. CNN said, quote, "Now the user is apologizing, writing in a lengthy post on Reddit that he does not advocate violence against the press and expressing remorse there and in an interview with CNN for other posts he made that were racist and anti-Semitic." He also deleted all of his Reddit posts. And why did he apologize? Quote, "The apology came after CNN's K-File identified the man behind Han Asshole Solo. Using identifying information that Han Asshole Solo posted on Reddit, K-File was able to determine key biographical details to find the man's name using a Facebook search and ultimately corroborate details he made available on Reddit." Now here's the kicker, quote, CNN is not punishing Han Asshole Solo's name because he is a private citizen who has issued an extensive statement of apology, showed his remorse by saying he has taken down all his offending posts, and because he said he is not going to repeat this ugly behavior on social media again. In addition, he said his statement could serve as an example to others not to do the same. CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. Yes, he did so because CNN threatened to dox him. So shortly after posting that, the CNN blackmail hashtag went viral. Critics posted en masse. WikiLeaks tweeted, quote, CNN extorts amateur satirist who made video tweeted by Trump. If you make fun of us again, we will harm you. And Julian Assange himself tweeted, when Trump goes low, CNN goes lower. Threatens to dox artist behind CNN head video if he makes fun of them again. And he also pointed out that CNN committed a crime by violating Section 135.60 of the New York Criminal Code and posted a pic of the page to show it. Stephen Miller stylized CNN's reaction as, quote, we're not the enemy of the American people. We'll just hunt you down and ruin the life of Americans who make fun of us online. And need I remind you that, as we covered last week, a lot of the BS going around is from CNN posting information from anonymous sources that later turns out to be bogus. But as soon as someone publishes a meme they don't like, they're all about the doxing. His apology reads like a hostage video. You can imagine him saying this to a camera with a gun pointed to his head. It's like the saying goes, if you want to know who has power over you, see who you're not allowed to make fun of. So that despicable tactic makes fake news outlet CNN this week's biggest Bogon emitter. If you're going to shop online, use our special links to shop at Amazon. Clear your cookies and go to amazon.bogosity.tv, and you won't pay a penny more for your purchase. If you haven't used the mobile app in the last 12 months, or even at all, go to get5.bogosity.tv on your phone or tablet and get $5 off your order of $10 or more. Go to prime.bogosity.tv for a free 30-day trial of Amazon Prime and enjoy thousands of movies and TV episodes, borrowed Kindle books, and get unlimited 2-day shipping for free. And speaking of Kindle, go to kindle.bogosity.tv for a 30-day free trial to Kindle Unlimited. Read over 1 million books and listen to thousands of audiobooks on any device. You can go to music.bogosity.tv and get a free 30-day trial of Amazon Music Unlimited with access to Amazon's entire library of 10 million songs, ad-free and with unlimited skips, and even download to listen offline. All great ways to help this podcast simply by shopping at Amazon. And now let's hypersinuate this week's Idiot Extraordinaire. We've given this before to more traditional politicos who don't understand encryption. This week, it officially goes to Nate Schenkkan, John Schindler, and Eric Garland. But really, they're just a microcosm of what we see with the conspiracy set, as described by Robert Graham in the blog Errata Security. Schenkkan tweeted, quote, implication for everyone still using Telegram? Russian authorities have full access to Telegram. Schindler replied, quote, and PGP and Signal and pretty much everything else out there. Who didn't know this? And Garland replied, quote, Snowden promoted Signal. Jesus, how much more of a sign do you need? I assume it's as secure as 2 soup cans and a string. Well, Graham's answer to Schindler's question of who didn't know this is every expert in cryptography. Quote, Telegram is not trustworthy because it's partially closed source. We can't see how it works. We don't know if they've made accidental mistakes that can be hacked. We don't know if they've been bribed by the NSA or Russia to put backdoors in their program. In contrast, PGP and Signal are open source. We can read exactly what the software does. Indeed, thousands of people have been reviewing their software looking for mistakes and backdoors. Being open source doesn't automatically make software better, but it does make hiding secret backdoors much harder. The thing about encryption is that when done properly, it works. Neither the NSA nor the Russians can break properly encrypted content. There's no such thing as military-grade encryption that is better than consumer-grade. There is only encryption that nobody hack versus encryption that your neighbor's teenage kid can easily hack. Those scenes in TV and movies about breaking encryption is as realistic as sound in space. Good for dramatic presentation, but not how things work in the real world. In contrast to what John Schindler says, while we techies have doubts about Telegram, we don't have doubts about Russian authorities having access to Signal and PGP messages. Snowden hatred has become the anti-vax of crypto. Sure, there's no particular reason to trust Snowden. People should really stop treating him as some sort of privacy Jesus, but there's no particular reason to distrust him either. His bland statements on crypto are indistinguishable from any other crypto enthusiast statements. If he's a Russian pawn, then so too is the bulk of the crypto community. Now, he does point out that end-to-end encryption is no panacea, and this quote from Edward Snowden actually works well as a summary of Graham's entire article. Quote, "Encryption works. Properly implemented strong crypto systems are one of the few things that you can rely on. Unfortunately, endpoint security is so terrifically weak that the NSA can frequently find ways around it." Like Graham says, they could have installed microphones or cameras to listen in or grab your screen or whatever. Or as Adi Shamir said, encryption is rarely broken, merely bypassed. Graham concludes, quote, "At first blush, this appears to be non-experts opining on things outside their expertise, but in reality, it's just obtuse partisanship, where truth and expertise doesn't matter. Nothing you or I say can change some people's minds on this matter, no matter how much our expertise gives weight to our words. This post is instead for bystanders who don't know enough to judge whether these crazy statements have merit." So that makes these and all other crypto conspiratards this week's Idiot Extraordinaire. Well, that wraps up this Standard Nerds edition of the Bogosity podcast. Come join the discussion at forum.bogosity.tv and feel free to send a question, statement, news article, or rant in text or audio to podcast@bogosity.tv. This podcast depends on you to keep going, so please donate using the links on the website or the QR codes in the thumbnail, or become a patron at patreon.bogosity.tv and get the podcast and YouTube videos early and without ads or promos. Thank you for listening. Until next time, here's a quote from Julian Assange. "Cryptography is the ultimate form of nonviolent direct action." The Bogosity podcast is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Bogosity. Want answers to creationist claims against evolution? Would you like to know more about evolution yourself, or even engage creationists more directly, with actual peer-reviewed sources to back you up? My book, How Evolution is Scientific, is designed to show the basics of evolutionary theory and how it is so well supported using the scientific method. It's impeccably sourced, with references to the actual scientific material, and is arranged using the creationists' own criteria of what is scientific. Using their own arguments against them, see how evolution is scientific, but creationism is not, based on observations, accurate predictions, logic, and evidence. Get answers to common creationist claims, and even a primer on abiogenesis, the start of all life. It's all in my book, How Evolution is Scientific, available at Amazon and on Kindle, EPUB, and PDF as well. Get How Evolution is Scientific and never be taken in by creationists again.